On this channel, we talk a lot about shadow work. And that's really the whole point of these videos I make for you, is so that for the shadowed part of you, that you can have some sort of a light that can guide you, that can help lead you, and that can help you go where you don't know where you're going. And I want to talk a little bit in depth about specifically what is shadow work. What is it? The shadowed self, the shadowed part of you, it comes from Carl Jung, who is a psychologist that was an apprentice under Freud, and he developed the work around shadow work. And if you think about it, the shadow obviously implies darkness and unawareness. And the part of us that we do have a lot of capability of interacting with is our body, mind, and spirit, where we're very aware of, okay, if I work out my body, if I honor my health by eating better, I can see results, I can meditate, I can journal, I can work with my spirit, and all of these different things affecting our mind in different ways. And it's kind of like a three-pronged attack on life, existence, how to live a better life. The shadow is part of those three. I guess the shadow is a fourth. The shadow is the parts of you that limit you. And the shadow doesn't limit you in a way that's hurtful or rude. That part of you matters and is part of you. But if we can set goals with our mind to motivate us to move forward with our body and our spirit and our mind, the limiting factor to all of our good intention moving forward with the goals that we set is the shadow. The shadow is born, the parts of us that are in the shadow are born from our painful experiences in our past. It might be a bad relationship, traumatic events that happen in your childhood, whatever parts of you that went through very painful parts, whatever parts of you that went through very hard, traumatic experiences, those parts of you are going to ensure that you don't get re-traumatized in the same way you got traumatized before, that you don't have to go through the pain that you went through before. And those parts are written into you like code. And as we progress and we move through those experiences, the shadow parts of us is going to write new code to make sure that we don't get hurt again. And also we're going to end up stuffing that part of us down so that it simmers in the background in the shadow, and then we just keep moving with our mindset moving forward. But the shadow will hold you back. For instance, if you experienced a bad relationship, that bad relationship is going to inform your relationships moving forward. And until that shadowed code that you wrote because of the painful relationship, until that part of you is interacted with, resolved, healed, loved, brought awareness to, until that happens, you are going to continue to move in a way that is informed by a shadow. When we're working directly with our shadow, it's important to remember that whatever that shadow part of us decided we needed to be protected for, that we're still kind of living and dealing with, it was based in a positive framework. That part of us was trying to protect us. That part of us was trying to ensure that we wouldn't have to deal with those painful moments again, and to have to go through whatever the trauma was, whatever the pain was. It's important to frame the shadow in love. One of the ways that I have practiced working on my shadow is my insecurity around making money. So I'm going to show you the framework around how I interacted with my shadow, with about that part of me, as I give you the steps for you to be able to take whatever it is that you need to work on, and we can do it together. The first step is to think about what you want to work with. What part of you do you want to work with? It could be something that was based out of a bad relationship, something that was very painful in your childhood, a negative work experience, whatever the situation happened that caused you deep inner reflection to the point where it became new code, it became a new paradigm of way that you are, that maybe you're not entirely sure, like, why do I feel so uncomfortable meeting new people? Why do I feel so uncomfortable being vulnerable? Why am I insecure about my body? And so we're going to take whatever that framework is that you're kind of still uncertain, that you don't really have the real answers as to why. And for me, it's I'm insecure about making money. I'm insecure about receiving value for my value. And once you've found that thing that's uncomfortable, that's part of you, now what we're going to do is we're going to invite that part of us to join us. And maybe you can do this out loud with words if you feel comfortable doing that, or if you feel comfortable, you can journal and write it down. But what we're going to do is we're going to give permission and externalize that part of us and let it join us. And maybe for you, having a seat next to you will help you with a visualization of it, or you can imagine you're at some beautiful, calm place in your mind where you can invite that part of you to sit and join you. However that works for you. Some people like to refer to that externalized part of you as your inner child, but it doesn't have to be a child. Honestly, the age at which it is whatever is typically the age at which whatever part that you feel externalized is. And if you really give yourself permission and ask, how old is this part of me that's still hurt, you'll probably come up with a number. And for me, a lot of times it's around 9 or 10 years old. And there is a specific traumatizing event that happened when I was 9 or 10 years old. So, but it doesn't have to be a child. It's your inner you. It's your inner reflection. So you're going to give that part of you permission to sit with you. And once you've enabled that safe space, that's when you begin a dialogue. Yes, you're going to say words. For you, it might be out loud. Maybe you're just going to journal. But you are going to, in earnest, as if that externalized part of you was someone worthy of your time and your open-handed questions, you're going to start asking, for me, why are you insecure about money? Why are you insecure about making money? This is when you can start to ask questions about whatever it is that you're dealing with. For relationship, whatever the relationship is, I'm going to imagine that you're insecure, like I've been in the past, about being vulnerable with someone you love. Hey, why are you feeling vulnerable? Why are you insecure? And then give yourself some time to actually feel whatever the answer is bubbling up in you. And honestly, you will be surprised. Maybe it'll be a familiar answer, but you'll be surprised because that part of you will be completely honest if you give it permission to be honest. Remember, so much of our shadowed self was born out of trauma and in love tried to prevent us from being hurt again, but that it also continues to limit us in our current life. So there might be some animosity in you that's frustrated, that in a way you could feel like you could direct it towards that part of you. I encourage you, don't. Remember, if it was born out of trauma, if it was born out of pain, that part of you needs the antidote of those things. And those things, the antidote to those things is love. So with your earnest, most loving heart, open your hands. Be the love that you needed in that moment and meet that part of you there and genuinely ask, what's going on? What do you need? How can I help you? And what are you trying to show me? What are you trying to teach me? For me, when I sat, as I was making this video, I intentionally did the work myself. And when I was asking, what am I scared about money? That part of me said, so many people in my formative years that had money didn't have good relationships with their family. It seemed like money was their passion to move forward, but it seemed like it cost them spiritual depth, emotional depth, vulnerability. And that part of me that I was talking with showed me that. It just said all that. And yes, I was sitting outside, talking out loud to myself. Thankfully, I don't think anyone saw. But if you give yourself the space in the room to ask, to really ask, that's where you can really find some new answers. For me, that was new insight. I'd never in my brain thought, I don't want to make money because I'm scared that it'll turn me into someone that doesn't love. I never in my brain thought that, but because I opened myself up to that part of me that was limiting me from that flow that is leading me to wealth, the answer came. And it wasn't, you need to work harder, you need to double down, you need to make more money and create better programs and coach better. No. The thing that was offering me resistance to opening myself up to more wealth, to more prosperity, to more adventures, to more sincerity was a fear that I would lose a part of myself, like I had seen and experienced when I was younger, for having wealth. And the last step is to integrate that hurt part of you back into you, is to integrate that shadow back into you. And this is where you get to imagine however it is that you want. You get to reimagine whatever experience that part of you had in new light, in a new way, where instead of a hurtful betrayal response, you get to instead reinvigorate with love and support and reimagine the situation that hurt you in a new light and reaffirm the value of that part of you that was hurt, and also encourage it by reminding it and you that you're worth more, and here's why. And for me, to resolve my shadow work, I imagine that part of me that is insecure about becoming a different person. I imagine that part of me with a heart open, with hands open, feeling no material connection to the value in my bank account, and yet it being there, full and opulent, but not changing any part of me that embraces and loves and holds dear people, because my reminder to that shadow part of me is I am the way I am because of the grace of other people, and I will always pay that back. There's no value in the world that will turn my heart off. There's no amount of money that is sitting in my bank account right now that will make me stop having a heart that wants to reach out and hold those that are hurting and lost, just like I've been my whole life. And the value in exchange for my time and my love is commensurate with the value in my heart. And if someone were to reject my value, reject my my coaching services, their journey is their own, just like my journey has been mine own. And they aren't rejecting me. They aren't turning away from me. They aren't deciding that I'm unworthy. No, they get to make their own choices. My worth is written into my code, and I am worthy for existing. And my value can't be rejected because my value is always commensurate with my existence. And I exist. And I'm worth it. This is hard work. It's so much easier to get the idea that comes in that says, here's 3 steps to better health. Here's 3 steps to mindful practice. Here's 3 steps for reshaping the way that we think. And those are all so important. But the 4th is the underlying thing underneath all of that is your shadow. And your invitation to work with your shadow is here. And it's uncomfortable for a reason. Working on your shadow takes you away from wherever you're feeling confident and brings you back to the place where you've been uncomfortable. But it's only if we can meet the uncomfortable that we can then start to shine new light and heal and embrace and love and care where there wasn't any of that before. And when we do that work, when we go arm in arm with a part of us that's been locked in time, that's been hurt, that's been informing how we form relationships, how we experience the world, when we can take the time and interact in a way that reinvigorates, revitalizes, and restores an old part of us, that's when we can experience new life. And that's my invitation to you. Your job is to do your work, is to do the shadow work, is to step into that darkness, into your darkness. Bring love, bring respect, bring understanding, create that place where you can be met, where you weren't met when you needed it. You are your guide. You are your healer. And the task is up to you. If you like doing this work, if you want to know more, I'm available. There's a link in the description. You can click on that. You can get a free one-on-one call. I'd love to be your one-on-one spiritual coach. I'd love to be your one-on-one spirit guide. I am available. And I want to partner with you on your journey. But the choice is up to you. Take this step. We're here to do it together. All right. I want to hear where you're working. I want to hear some of your shadow work that you're working on. Comment on the video. I want to hear from you. I want to see where you're at. And I want to encourage you. Thank you guys so much for being part of this journey. Thank you for stepping into the uncomfortable and doing the real work. I'm proud of you guys. Keep it up.